But now with the arranger on the new MPC 3, you can actually do what we just did in a much easier fashion. So let's check out how that works. All right, so here we are back at the very start where we just have this 2-bar loop. And our goal is to remake what we did previously in this video, where we have an intro, we have the introduction of the bass, and then we have all the drums come in. But instead of using a sequence as a dedicated section of the song and then recombining them later into a new sequence, here what we're going to do is we're going to do it all in the arranger. And I find that this actually is a quite faster and more easy to comprehend workflow. So while inside of the arranger, let's just tap on the edit at the top, and we're going to double the length. And if we pinch to zoom, now we see that we have 4 bars, but we want 2 bars, 2 bars, and then another 2 bars. So let's just come in and double it again. And now we have a full 8 bars. We're only going to work with the first 6. Now, when you're inside of the arranger, one thing to remember is the erase button is your best friend in combination with this loop region up here. So like we did in the previous part of this video, we wanted the intro to not have any drums and not have any bass. So what we're going to do is we're just going to say, hey, this is the section of the song that I'm editing, and I want to focus on this first track, which is the drums. And I don't want erase. Notice that it has the drums, and it's also set the in and the out point based on the loop region right here. So I'm going to go to erase, and I don't want any drums in here. And I also don't want any bass. So I'm just going to select the bass, hit erase, and hit do it. Now, just like that, we've created this intro section. So now let's just click and drag this region over here. Let's hit erase again after we have selected the drum track. Now we can always just click up here and jump in between the tracks if we want, but I'm going to say drums, I don't want any of it. And now within that short period of time, we've just accomplished what it took 5 or 6 or 7 steps to do in the earlier part of this video, that quickly and that easily. Now we can just play it back. We have our pads. We bring in the bass line right here. And then we bring in the drums. If we wanted to add that little intro fill, let's click on the location up here and let's just add that quick little note repeat. So let's go into overdub so we don't erase anything here. Like we talked about in the first video, record will actually erase and record over it, erasing what's currently there. Overdub will just add on top. And I'm going to hit play so I don't jump back to the beginning with play start. And I just want to do this little fill. And very quickly we can just add that in. Now let's actually undo a little bit of that, because when we're using this method, we can actually get a little bit more creative because we see everything on the screen here. So actually, let's hold shift and redo. We don't want the drums and we don't want the bass, but let's say right here, while we bring in the bass line, we want these little hi-hats. These hi-hats right here. So what we're going to use is another feature inside the erase, which is erase everything except specific notes. So I'm going to say I want to erase everything except for that hi-hat. So if I hit do it, you can see that it's erased everything, but now it's keeping in just that specific hi-hat. So let's go back and see how that sounds. Hi-hat, bass. All right, that sounds cool, but I want to create a little gap right here to build up a little dropout so when this beat comes in, it's a little bit more exciting. There's a couple of ways we can do that. If we open the lower section here, we're now in the detail editor, and we could just extend this a little bit and come up with the select tool and say, you know what? I want to erase these right here, holding shift like we talked about in the first episode. Shift is always a hidden menu. I can then cut this out. Let's go back a little bit. And now we've created a little bit of anticipation. That's one way of doing it, but let's undo that and look at another way. Remember in the first video, we talked about the erasing in real time. So if I just go back a little bit here, I can just hold erase and then press the pad and it will erase it in real time. So if I hit play, That's another way of doing it. While during playback, I can hold erase and just tap on that pad right there. But let's say I just wanted to do that drum fill. I'm just gonna lay it in real quick, overdub, so I don't erase over anything right here, play. It's gonna jump back and give me a count in. And my timing was a little off, but good thing we had quantize turned on in this upper menu right here. So my timing should be somewhat decent. And now we can just stay in this mindset and keep going and building up the rest of our arrangement. So let's say this whole section right here is our chorus, these 2 bars. And then right here, I wanted, let's say, the hi-hats to drop out in order to add a little variation. And I want to drop out the pads as well. So first things first, let's make sure our loop region is what we want to edit. I want to select the pads, go into erase, and I want to erase all my pads. Now the pads are gone. I want to go to my drums, and I want to erase just these. And you can see when I click on that, it jumps to note, meaning that anything I select, it's now going to erase it. Let's hit do it. So now this could be essentially a second verse. So we have intro, verse 1, chorus, verse 2.